Welcome back, everyone. And indeed, welcome if you are new. Just last cycle, we watched the Syndicate further their presence on a planet known as Aurum Veridia. If you haven't seen the previous material on this case, I do suggest you check the archives. But just in case, it has been observed that the Warrant Officer Prada Boone, with some help, was deployed planetside. It went off without a hitch at first, but the material we're viewing today appears to show some struggles. Without any further ado, let us observe, and may the Schemos become whole. It would appear to Prada and her crew that they've set up a nice cozy base camp here. Fences, concrete, a few planters, even a table and some chairs. But comfort brings responsibility, and Prada isn't the type to sit around on company time. No. It was time instead to search the strange rift we've decided to call home. With any luck, they may find some of that eltex-rich is known for. But even without that, any resources would be a great help, if for nothing else than to sell. With that, Prada ordered Norman and Lax to go looking on their own. Splitting up seemed the best way to cover more ground, and Prada has her exosuit to protect her. Her little adventure brought her through overgrown forests. The disgusting sounds of the wildlife killing each other were the only thing keeping our Prada company. Uneventful though it was, she did find some boulders to do a little prospecting. Though the resources were meager, they would help, and they would need it. Meanwhile, Norman and Lax were exploring a nearby cave, where better to find minerals. But it was not minerals they found. A nest of insectoid creatures, undoubtedly disturbed by the sudden presence of the two. They were already too close to run. Norman took aim and told Lax to get behind her. The gunshots informed Prada, and she ran as fast as possible to get there. Would she be soon enough? Lax watched in horror before running for the mouth of the cave. Behind him, Norman was steadfast. She was an android. She could be rebuilt. Lax could not. Her blue neutroamine stained the walls as the bugs ripped her limb from limb, and with an eerie calmness she remained, fighting and thrashing to keep being a distraction while Prada approached, hoping to buy time. Eventually, though, her body could not support her stalwart attitude. As her physical components failed or were destroyed, she crumpled to the ground in a blue puddle, and the silence afterwards grew into a rumbling as the onslaught of insects approached to hunt down Lax. Thankfully, though, Prada had finally arrived, and with their combined firepower, they were able to finally end the threat. Prada quickly rushed to the aid of her android overseer, but it was clear the damage was more than she could repair for now. Immediately she knew this was going to be a sink of resources and time, and just when things were looking so good. Lax wasn't doing so well either. The experience was rough on him, and the rough shower they made wasn't enough to get the smell of insect and Norman off of him. His physical injuries, however, were minor, thankfully. Perhaps it was that same shock or fear of bugs that caused him to work through his pain. It was no matter, though. Prada eventually assisted him to his tent to be properly tended to. You don't want to get an infection on an alien world. Not long after that, Prada got to work on Norman, repairing her properly as well. Though she'd need the nutra-amine to make her functional again. It seemed out of nowhere. Everything was just threatening to fall apart. But eventually, everything stabilized enough for them to grow curious once again. Their job still hung over their head. No matter what the circumstance, they could solve these problems later. It wouldn't be enough just to go out looking for minerals again, though. First, they had to protect their important equipment from the rain, and then make a better shelter. It was clear the fences weren't going to save them, and they needed an enclosed space for some of their facilities anyways. The first thing, of course, was a field research room. The Corp handled most of the big research, but down here on the surface, we were collecting plenty of things that we didn't understand. And if we were going to stand a chance out here, we needed to be able to study them. The research room was up in almost no time, and the next logical conclusion was barracks. For our own crew's safety, it only made sense. These tents wouldn't last forever, and they weren't the most comfortable or safe. And it was only a little after that Prada realized something. If she was going to create a proper outpost of the Syndicate, she would have to give this place a name, and she was open to suggestion. Any such suggestions from her peers, as long as serious, would be heavily considered. But for now, she came up with something just for operational use. She never claimed to be very creative. With that, it was time to finally venture back into this cave where all those horrors happened, and explore the rest of its depths for any more dangers or wealth. Prada was careful as she proceeded inside. She didn't know if any more of these insects had been spawning, or if there were any more hives to find. What she ended up finding instead was refreshing. Riches, though not the most rich. Calcite crystals. Not the most exotic thing on this Rimworld, but it wasn't trying to kill her. The rest of the cave, for better or worse, just looked like a dead end. It was time then to head back home, but it would appear as though the hardships were not over. Looked like some hungry local wildlife. It proved to not be much of an issue. And truly it wasn't. The most threatening thing on this planet so far had been the wildlife, and aside from poor Norman, we've been pretty well off. It's been a day in some, and we've been allowed to grow and calm our nerves. The barracks is complete enough for the three of us, but something was lurking around the corner, while Lax was out mining. Our first resistance from the locals. A raid from the Blue Delta tribe. This was about to get interesting. Hey everyone. Geez, I never expected the support. I hope you've enjoyed so far. I do have more coming soon, so keep an ear out. The intro video took a bit longer because of the animations, but these videos still take time and effort, so if you like what I do, it'd be hugely appreciated if you could subscribe, like, and comment. See you all later.